Let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. That huge, nagging gap between the incredible life you can imagine for yourself and the reality you're actually living day in and day out. It's not because you're lazy, and it's probably not because you lack talent. The real issue? It's the hidden psychological traps your own mind is setting for you. And today, we're going to expose every single one of them. So, does this look familiar? On the left, you've got the grand vision, the person you know you could be, the business you could build, the health you could have. But on the right, well, that's the reality of right now, isn't it? The endless scrolling, the procrastination, and that just gut-sinking feeling that another day just completely vanished. And that really is the million-dollar question. You have the ideas, you know deep down you're capable, so what is this invisible force that's holding you in place? Well, it turns out your own brain might just be your biggest saboteur. It sets up these clever little traps that keep you dreaming instead of doing. So, let's break them down. Okay, first up, we've got to understand how your brain's reward system, the very thing that's supposed to motivate you, can actually work against you. It's a fascinating, but yeah, a pretty frustrating piece of our internal wiring. This is what I call the dopamine trap. See, when you spend hours daydreaming about launching your business or finally finishing that creative project, your brain releases a little bit of dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. It gives you this little hit of satisfaction, a mental win that feels almost as good as actually achieving the goal itself. And this chart, wow, this illustrates the problem perfectly. When your mental satisfaction is way up here at 90% just from thinking about it, your actual urgency to do the hard, boring, difficult work, it just plummets. I mean, why would you go through all that struggle when your brain has already given you a taste of the reward, completely for free? You've tricked yourself into confusing thinking with actual progress. And that leads us right into the second reward trap, the perfectionist's shield. This one is so powerful. As long as your idea exists only in your head, or maybe in a perfectly clean notebook, it's flawless, right? It's safe. But the moment you try to bring it into the real world, it becomes vulnerable. It can fail, it can be criticized. So staying in that planning phase, it's really just a defense mechanism to protect your dream and, let's be honest, your ego. So let's move on to our second diagnosis, and you'll see how this all builds on itself. This section is for literally everyone who's ever said, "I'm just waiting for the right moment." I'm just going to say this as directly as I can. You have to stop waiting to feel ready. That feeling you're chasing, that perfect moment of absolute confidence and clarity where all the stars align, it's a myth. It's not real. It is not coming. And here is the fundamental shift in thinking you have to make. Readiness, confidence, momentum, all those things you want, they are the results of taking action, not the prerequisites for it. You don't feel ready and then start. You start, and through that messy, imperfect, clumsy process, you become ready. Waiting is just procrastination wearing a very clever disguise. Now, this whole waiting game often shows up as analysis paralysis. You know this one. You try to plan for every single possible outcome, you map out every step, you research every alternative, and you think you're being responsible. But what's really happening is that you're overthinking yourself into a state of total mental exhaustion. Does this internal monologue sound familiar? What if it fails? What if there's a better way? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me? This loop drains all the mental energy you need to actually take that first step. By the time you've thought through every worst-case scenario, you're too tired to even begin. You've basically won the mental chess match, but forfeited the actual game before it even started. All right, now for our third and final diagnosis. And I gotta tell you, this one is the deepest, and it's often the hardest one to see in ourselves. It is all about your identity. So look, on the left is the identity you hold right now. It's comfortable. It's familiar, even if you don't really like it that much. It's the dreamer. But on the right, that's the identity required to actually achieve your goal. That's the doer. This person has totally different habits, a different mindset. They're disciplined, they're consistent, and there's a huge, scary gap between those two. And here is the core insight. Your brain is wired for consistency. It will actively resist any actions that don't line up with your current self-image. So if you secretly, deep down, see yourself as someone who never finishes things, your subconscious is going to find a million tiny ways to sabotage your efforts to become a finisher. True change isn't just about doing different things. It's about becoming a different person. And that can be subconsciously terrifying. This really gets to the heart of it all. We are addicted to the idea of who we could be. We love the potential. Talking about the dream, imagining the success, that's the exciting part. It feels good. But the actual effort, the day in, day out grind, that's repetitive, it's slow, and honestly, it's often really boring. The addiction to potential keeps us in that exciting dream phase and safely away from the uncomfortable reality of the work. So, after all that diagnosis, all these traps and psychological hurdles, what's the big takeaway? Well, it actually boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea. Let's just be really clear about this. Almost everyone on the planet has big dreams. Wanting a better life, imagining success, feeling like you have incredible potential, that's the easy part. That's common. It's just human. And this is the ultimate revelation. The gap isn't talent. The world is absolutely overflowing with brilliant, talented people who are completely stuck. As this says right here, action. That is the rarest commodity of all. That simple, unglamorous, unexciting willingness to take one small step is what truly separates the dream from the reality. Ultimately, it all comes down to this. Success isn't about waiting for perfection. It is about embracing the discomfort of being a beginner, of doing the boring work, and of risking that flawless dream for a messy, imperfect reality. So let me just leave you with this question. Forget the grand 10-year plan for a second. What is one small, maybe even uncomfortable step you can take today? Hopefully, this breakdown has shed a little bit of light on those invisible forces that might be holding you back. Our goal here at the Cognitive Room is always to make these complex ideas make sense. And if you found this valuable, you can really help us continue that mission. The best way you can help is to like this explainer, and even better, share it with another dreamer out there who might need to hear this. And please, take that last question seriously. Go down to the comments right now and tell us what your first step is going to be. It's a great way to hold yourself accountable. And, of course, subscribe to the Cognitive Room for more explainers that make sense of the mind. Thanks for being here.